This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, the New York Knicks taking on the New Orleans Pelicans in what some would say is a must-win for the New York Knicks. Because if they lose tonight, they're going to fall farther in the standings behind the Boston Celtics. And Lord knows we don't want that to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, the New York Knicks stand in the 11th spot in the Eastern Conference. They're one game below. Actually, they'll fall farther behind the Toronto Raptors because the Boston Celtics are now 23-23 on the season. They're in the 9th spot. The Raptors are 21-21 on the season, and they're in the 10th spot. And the bad thing about this is even if the New York Knicks win tonight, while they would be tied for the 10th spot, they'd still be in the 11th spot in the Eastern Conference because they lost the season series to the Toronto Raptors. And currently, while they're tied with the Boston Celtics, the Celtics have a better conference record. The Celtics are 16-13 in the conference. The Knicks are currently 14-18 in the conference. So if the New York Knicks want to leapfrog the Raptors, the Celtics, and even the Washington Wizards, they've got to have a better conference record than those teams. They've only played once versus the Washington Wizards. They'll have a chance to win that season series against the Wizards. They've got to do so. They played the Charlotte. They just lost to the Charlotte Hornets not too long ago. The Hornets are in the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference. If the Knicks want to have a chance to catch the Charlotte Hornets, I don't know if they play them twice more. I'd have to look at the schedule. But if they do, they need to beat them both times just to tie the series and then hope that they'll have a better conference record than the Charlotte Hornets. Nonetheless, the New York Knicks need to go on a winning streak, and right now, because if they don't, they're going to find themselves on the outside looking in. Because sooner or later, the Atlanta Hawks are probably going to begin to turn it on. They've won 2 in a row. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Currently 19-25 on the season. They're in the 12th spot. Now, the New York Knicks have already won the season series against the Atlanta Hawks because they beat them 3 times this season. But ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks need to get something going now. It has to start now. They have a chance to pull themselves back to within 500 with a win over the New Orleans Pelicans tonight at Madison Square Garden, 7:30 p.m. The Knicks have lost 2 straight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at the injury report for the New York Knicks. We'll talk about the injury report for the New Orleans Pelicans, and then we'll start getting into some matchup breakdowns. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Day pregame show. For all your most up-to-date sports content and betting odds, make sure you check out thegameday.com. You can get odds from all of your favorite platforms, ladies and gentlemen. All of them. Caesars, DraftKings, all of them. For the New York Knicks, Ryan, you know what? I practiced his last name just before the show, and now here I go. Blanked on the proper pronunciation. So I'm just going to say Ryan. He's out. The Knicks re-signed him just yesterday to another 10-day contract. They waived Solomon Hill and re-signed Ryan. I don't know if we're ever going to get to see the kid play. He's been injured ever since we've signed him a few weeks ago, or even like a month ago. So who knows if we'll ever even get to see the kid play. Anyway, Solomon Hill, he's no longer with the team. Nerlens Noel, he's out with a left sore knee or sore left knee. And, it's been a go for Nerlens Noel, man. Yeah, he just can't stay healthy. Just can't do it. The Knicks are going to need him come down the stretch of this season. Well, actually, they need him right now. Because the Knicks are about to enter probably the toughest part of their schedule over the next month and a half. The Knicks need Nerlens Noel. Hopefully we can get him back sooner than later. Cam Reddish is yet to suit up for the Knicks. He's out with a right sprain, a sprained right ankle. He's out with a sprained right ankle. Derrick Rose still recovering from ankle surgery. So, well, it's yet to be known whether or not Cam Reddish is going to be a major rotational piece. We'll see what happens. We all assume that he's going to be a major rotation piece. But with Derrick Rose and Nerlens Noel out, you know that you got two major pieces out of the lineup, out of that second unit. And that's big for the Knicks because that second unit, at least early in the season, was playing big-time basketball. And Derrick Rose, not only is he the leader of that second unit, but he might be the leader of the entire basketball team. Now, he is sitting on the bench with the New York Knicks, but that's not like having him out there on the floor. As for the New Orleans Pelicans, Devontae Graham, he's questionable with soreness in his left ankle. Kira Lewis, he's out with an ACL/MCL sprain. And Zion Williamson, he has not played yet this season, still recovering from a fracture in his right foot. And, of course, all the noise from everywhere, ever since the Knicks traded for Cam Reddish, is that Zion Williamson is on the way. I'm not even going to get into that discussion right now. I am not even going to get into it. We'll see what happens on that front. I doubt that he's on his way to the New York Knicks, but you never, ever know. Crazy things happen in the NBA sometimes. Taking a look at the starting lineups, ladies and gentlemen. Kemba Walker starting at point guard for the New York Knicks. Evan Fournier at shooting guard. RJ Barrett at small forward spot. Julius Randle at the power forward spot. And Mitchell Robinson at center. And for the New Orleans Pelicans, if Devontae Graham is not able to go tonight, Nickeil Alexander-Walker would likely be the starting point guard, and then Josh Hart at shooting guard, Herbert Jones at small forward, Brandon Ingram at power forward, and Jonas Valanciunas at the center position. So let's talk about these lineups, ladies and gentlemen. And soon I'm going to open up the line so that you can give me a call. And I want to hear your thoughts on this game. But when you look at these matchups, and, not every player is going to defend the opposing point guard, shooting guard, small forward, or what have you. All right, but we'll start from here. Kemba Walker and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Nickeil Alexander-Walker he's a good basketball player. He's quick. He's young. He's a tough guy for, in my opinion, Kemba Walker to deal with. Right, Kemba Walker's, obviously a little bit smaller than Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think it's a much better matchup with having Devontae Graham and Kemba Walker going against each other, right? Devontae Graham is 6'1". Kemba Walker is, 6 foot, supposedly. All right, so that's a much better matchup. Looking at these lineups, Alexander Walker is probably going to have a size advantage over Kemba Walker, which could be troublesome. Now, Alexander Walker's not the kind of guy that's going to post up on every play down the floor. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm expecting Kemba Walker to at least duel it out with Alexander Walker and probably win that matchup if Kemba Walker is hot. Right? Last game he had 19 points. He looked pretty good. The last time he came off of not playing for 9 games, when Tom Thibodeau had him on the hot seat or had him in the doghouse, he came back and he was cooking. Last night, or in the previous game, Kemba Walker was cooking. 19 points. Was big in the fourth quarter. Big in the third quarter. We need that Kemba Walker tonight. Hopefully his legs feel fresh, his body feels fresh. Also, what we need is not for Tom Thibodeau to run him into the ground. And I maybe I shouldn't even have said those words because that's the words famously used with Tom Thibodeau. We're going to need him to monitor Kemba Walker's minutes. Now, Kemba Walker has said that, those 3 games that he played in the double, the back-to-backs didn't really affect his injury. And it was kind of just a one-off thing. He's maybe stepped on it wrong during warm-ups and, tweaked his knee. But we can't take any chances because obviously the guy has arthritic knees, both of them. So you can't take any chances. Keep the guy to under 30 minutes if you can. Use some of your other guards out there on the bench. Obviously, Tom Thibodeau knows that we need to win this basketball game, and he's going to play the guys that are getting him or playing well. So in some ways, that may not bode well for Kemba Walker's knees. Evan Fournier and Josh Hart, I'm giving that matchup to Evan Fournier just about all day long. I think that Evan Fournier is playing good basketball right now. In last game, he had 27 points, I believe. A lot of them in that third quarter where the Knicks dropped 40 points in the third quarter. But Evan Fournier's found his way with this team. He's shooting the ball well. He looks confident. Feels like he understands what his role is. Feels like he understands where to get his shots. Or maybe I should say it looks like instead of it feels like. So it seems like Evan Fournier is finding his footing within this team. Now with all the, the injuries with Kemba Walker being out and Alec Burks being in that lineup, in the lineup, out the lineup, Kemba Walker in the lineup, out the lineup, I still don't feel like that starting unit has found the chemistry that we expect or want it to have. Still a work in progress, although we're more than halfway through the season. But Evan Fournier has found his footing, it seems, and it looks like. Let's hope that he continues to find his footing. He's not going to have 27 points every night. He's not going to have 20 points every night. As long as he's giving us some consistent numbers, though. Somewhere between 15 and 20 a night. That's what I'm looking for from Evan Fournier. He's been doing that the last few games. Now here's where we have a little bit of maybe a mix-up defensively, right? You're looking at the lineups on the team. You see R.J. Barrett and Herbert Jones, Julius Randle, and Brandon Ingram. I think in this situation, Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett they're going to be able to switch. They're going to be able to switch. I think either one of those guys can guard Herbert Jones. Nobody can really guard Brandon Ingram. But I don't think either R.J. Barrett or Julius Randle gets toasted by Brandon Ingram. Right? I think it's, they're both good defensive matchups. There's nobody else out there besides maybe Alec Burks. I don't know. Alec Burks is 6'5". Brandon Ingram is 6'8". Randle and Barrett are both 6'8", 6'7". So they provide, the right length to defend Brandon Ingram. At least competently defend him. So he's going to be a tough matchup for anyone. So I'm looking forward to those two guys being able to switch off and on with Brandon Ingram. Maybe R.J. Barrett getting most of that time on Brandon Ingram. We'll see. Tom Thibodeau could start off with Julius Randle on Brandon Ingram. I guess we'll figure that out when the time comes. I'm looking at Barrett and Brandon Ingram as the matchup because normally if Zion Williamson was there, it would be Julius Randle and Zion Williamson, and then Brandon Ingram would be the starting small forward, and R.J. Barrett would match up with Brandon Ingram. So that's going to be fun to watch. Fun to watch. Right? But if you're looking at straight up R.J. Barrett and Herbert Jones, I'm going to give that to R.J. Barrett. And if you're looking at Julius Randle and Brandon Ingram, I would expect that Julius Randle would at least play Brandon Ingram to a tie. All right, I don't think Brandon Ingram's going to have 30 and Julius Randle only have 10. It could happen, though, because we've seen Julius Randle have those nights. I'm hoping that it's over with, that he's not having those nights anymore. Maybe he's learned that, hey, I can't have them unless the game really dictates it and somebody else is burning up. Then, you're going to take what the game gives you. But for the most part, we need Julius Randle to have big nights almost every night in order for this team to win. We need him to have another big night tonight. He played well in the last game, struggled down the stretch and knocking down his free throws. He was 9 for 11 from the free throw line, but he didn't hit the one that counted. Neither did R.J. Barrett. Got to find a way to close it in the clutch. But anyway, that matchup should be fun to watch. And that's not really my key matchup of the night, though. My key matchup is R.J. Barrett and Brandon Ingram. And, we'll take a look at those numbers between the two because I do think you can see a lot of time with R.J. Barrett on Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle on Herbert Jones. Just going to switch around. Next matchup, Mitchell Robinson and Jonas Valanciunas. Look, Jonas is not Karl Anthony Towns. Not by a long shot. But he's still a tough cover. He's a little bit bigger than Mitch. Although Mitch has gotten bigger and stronger, I think Valanciunas is still a little bit bigger than Mitch. The two guys do things very different. Valanciunas can shoot a little from the outside. He can pass a little bit. He can post up. He can knock down the mid-range. Right? So he's going to keep Mitchell Robinson on his toes. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson is going to have this speed advantage over Valanciunas. He can jump higher than Valanciunas. I would hope that he's quicker on his feet as far as getting rebounds than Valanciunas. All right. Hoping that Mitchell Robinson is able to, get another double-double for the New York Knicks because it's going to be needed in tonight's game. Okay. We need Mitchell Robinson to stay on the floor. Against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it was a scrappy game, a physical game. The refs didn't do us no favors. I'm pretty sure you guys seen the reports about the 2-minute report. And, a lot of calls went against the Knicks in the last 2 minutes of the game. But it hurt the Knicks that Mitchell Robinson and Taj Gibson were both fouled out the game. We had no size to match up with Karl Anthony Towns, and it was left to Julius Randle because Tom Thibodeau decided to go small, really small. It was left up to Julius Randle to guard Karl Anthony Towns, and for all intents and purposes, now that report has come out, he actually did a good job on that last shot guarding Karl Anthony Towns because an offensive foul should have been called. Should have been called against Karl Anthony Towns. Neither here nor there. Right? Can't get it back. Coming into tonight, we need Mitchell Robinson to stay on the floor. We need Taj Gibson to be able to stay on the floor. We're not playing against the same level of talent as Karl Anthony Towns, but Valanciunas is giving you 18.4 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, plus 2.4 assists per game. All right, he's shooting 42.4% from the three-point line and 52.2% from the field. So Mitchell Robinson is going to have his work cut out for him. Taj Gibson, he's going to defend Valanciunas some. He's going to have his work cut out for him. Like I said, the guy can post, the guy can shoot. You're going to have to be mindful of him at all times. Pick and pop game. He can knock down a mid-range shot. Those two guys are going to be put to work, and we need them to play good defense and stay on the floor. Because it's obvious that Tom Thibodeau is not going to use Jericho Sims to defend these guys. And he may not want to go with Obi. We don't know what the deal is with Tom Thibodeau and Obi Toppin, but he may, if you look at the previous game, I always want to say last night's game. If you look at the previous game versus Minnesota, when that time came, he didn't use Obi. He went small. We can't afford for that to happen tonight. Okay? Just can't afford for that to happen. Looking at team comparison, in the last 5 games, the Knicks are 3-2. They're averaging 106.6 points per game. They're shooting 46.5% from the field. They're shooting 38.3% from the three-point line. They're grabbing 48.8 rebounds per game. And get this, ladies and gentlemen, they're averaging 22.8 assists per game. They're making more shots, so they get more assists. Still not scoring a whole heck of a lot of points at 106.6. And we did expect this team to score more points. But they're not doing it right now. Yet still, the last 5 games, they're 3-2. We need to find a way to get this win tonight. Offensive rating for the New York Knicks over the last 5 games is 108.6. Their defensive rating is 109.3 for a net negative 0.8. For the New Orleans Pelicans, they're averaging 107.8 points per game. They're shooting 46.2% from the field and 36.1% from the three-point line. They grab 41.2 rebounds per game. They average 25.2 assists. Their offensive rating is 107.4. Their defensive rating is 111.6 for a net negative 4.3. All right, that's over the last 5 games for both of these teams. We have yet to see these two teams match up this season. This is the first matchup of the season. All right, so, every year is a new team. Last season, the Pelicans had Lonzo Ball. They had Zion Williamson out there on the floor. Brandon Ingram, looked like they were a young upstart squad. And then, this season it's just all broken down, of course. For the New York Knicks, they've been going through their struggles throughout the season, up and down, up and down. Previous to the last 2 games, they had won 10 of 15. Let's see if they can get back on the winning track tonight. This is a game that is very, very winnable. So why they've got to take care of business. Very winnable game for the New York Knicks. My keys to the game tonight is 1, get off to a strong start. Every team is going to go through their stretches of, getting off to good starts, not getting off to good starts. But for the New York Knicks this season, it's been part of the storyline that they don't always get off to strong starts. You remember a few weeks ago, a month and a half ago or so, everybody was upset and mad about the starting lineup. It's part of the reason that Kemba Walker came out the lineup, because the first unit wasn't getting off the strong starts. The second unit, they were coming in and balling out, doing everything that they needed to do. Eventually, that first unit started to click over the last couple of weeks. It started to click. Looked like they were getting it. Now, last 2 games, we're back to not having strong starts. They figure out a way to get back in those games, though. Not against Charlotte, but against Minnesota. They figured out, how do I get back in the game? Came out and had a strong third quarter. But you exert too much energy, especially when you don't have the strength of the second unit that you had earlier in the season. You can't afford to get off to sloppy, slow starts. So you got to get off to a strong start tonight. Don't give the Pelicans, don't spot them 10 points or 12 points. Get off to a good start. We got to limit turnovers. We don't want these guys running. They have a squad that can run. Alexander Walker, he can run. Brandon Ingram, he can run. They'll get up and down the floor. We have to limit turnovers. We had 18 turnovers versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, uncharacteristic of the Knicks. But they were playing a team that gets their hands in the passing lanes. They get a lot of deflections. All right, they're scrappy, headed by Patrick Beverley, who's a scrappy guard. Anthony Edwards, he plays some scrappy basketball. They're a scrappy team over there. This is not the same team, the New Orleans Pelicans. Right? They might play some okay defense at times, but they're not the same team. Their defensive rating again over the last 5 games is 111.6. So the Knicks got to take care of the basketball. Don't give away the ball to them. And then if they give it away to us, capitalize off of those turnovers. All right, capitalize off of turnovers. But we need to take care of the ball. We can't have 18 turnovers and expect to win the game tonight. The bench needs to step up. We just talked about it. Now that Kemba Walker's back in the starting lineup, wasn't sure if he was going to come back into the starting lineup. But Tom Thibodeau opted to put him back in the starting lineup. Alec Burks is in that second lineup. We need Alec Burks to go back to doing what he was doing a couple of weeks ago. We need Emmanuel Quickly to step up. We need Obi to step up. Maybe. I'm saying maybe because you don't know how many minutes Obi's going to get. He's been averaging like 11 minutes per game. You know, he's upset with Tom Thibodeau. The crowd is upset with Tom Thibodeau. I don't know what's going on there. There's a lot of questions to be had, you know, about what's happening with Obi. But, you know, if a reporter asks Tom Thibodeau what's going on with Obi, you know, it's going to, you know, he works hard and, you know, his time will come and all of that stuff. You know, that's coming from Tom Thibodeau. I don't believe it. I think there's something going on in the water over there between them two. Either way, the bench has to find a way to step up. We need Quickly to knock down some buckets. We need Alec Burks. Alec Burks had 0 points versus Minnesota. We can't have that from Alec Burks, not right now. Quentin Grimes, you know, he's been playing well for the Knicks. We need him to continue to play defense, knock down those open threes when he has them. We need his scoring right now because we don't have Derrick Rose out there who would normally provide, you know, 14 points a game off the bench or something like that. He's not there. So we need to make up those 14 points somewhere. Somewhere. And not from Alec Burks, because Alec Burks would normally give us 12 points off the bench. Derrick Rose, 14 points off the bench, something like that. So we need to make up those 14 points somewhere. Quentin Grimes can give us some of those points. We need Obi to give us some of them, Manuel Quickly, etc. You know what I'm saying? Throw multiple defenders at Ingram. Listen, he's not giving you 30 a game, but he can give you 30. The guy can shoot it from outside. He can go to the cup. He can distribute the basketball. He's an all-around type of basketball player. Tough to defend. So throw multiple defenders at him. Let Julius guard him some. Let RJ guard him some. Right? Maybe you try to get a little bit physical with Quentin Grimes for a couple of possessions. Although Quentin Grimes is a lot smaller in height than Brandon Ingram. Quentin Grimes is like 6'5", Brandon Ingram 6'8". But Quentin Grimes is a physical defender. Right? So he might be able to give Brandon Ingram a little bit of, you know, give him some trouble for a couple of possessions. You're not going to do it. I don't think you can do it the entire game or, you know, for each time that Quentin Grimes is in the game. Sooner or later, Brandon Ingram's going to figure out how to shoot over top, start knocking down those shots, you know. But I think you can, you know, try to rough him up a little bit with Quentin Grimes. Multiple defenders, though, at Brandon Ingram. Stay out of foul trouble. We talked about it earlier. Mitchell Robinson, stay out of foul trouble. Taj Gibson, we need him to stay out of foul trouble. We're going to need those guys out there because Valanciunas can play basketball. And I don't want to go small while they're going big. Especially if we're going super small with Alec Burks or Quentin Grimes instead of Obi. Not trying to go that small. All right, let me get my man Savvy here in the building. See what he's thinking about this game. Savvy, what's the deal, my brother, man? How you feeling? How you feeling about tonight's game? How you feeling about tonight's game?
Feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty confident. I was ruminating on some of the thoughts I had about it yesterday, and I don't know if I said this on the air, but in private conversations, I said I wanted this blowout. I'm rethinking that. I don't think that we'll win by a blowout. I think we can still win this game. But one thing I am concerned about is how we're going to approach defending Nickeil Alexander-Walker. The last time we played them, he gave us a little bit of an issue. You feel me? He's somebody that I don't want to let get off to a hot start of any kind. I would like to prevent him from building too much momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And if we need to make frequent switches and rotations in terms of subbing out Kemba, someone else back in, or putting Grimes on him, or putting a different person on him, because Fournier is going to start, right? So then we might have to do that, because while we're focusing on Brandon Ingram, which we absolutely should, because he's an offensive menace, absolutely, we're going to probably maybe lose sight on some of the switching motions that when Nickeil Alexander gets a driving lane, or when he gets an open look, he can give us a serious problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so to prevent them getting out to a lead, or them tying multiple successive possessions together, I would like us to be very mindful of Nickeil Alexander-Walker, where he is on the court at all times, while we're trying to keep the clamps on Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
That's one of my main points of emphasis.
Yeah, that's going to be a difficult task if he's not playing. If Devontae Graham isn't playing and Nickeil Alexander-Walker is starting at that point guard spot, he's going to play no matter what. You're probably going to have Kemba Walker guarding him. Maybe Evan Fournier, is going to get some time on him as well. I do think you're going to see Quentin Grimes come in and play Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? But then you also got to worry about Josh Hart, right? Because Josh Hart can he can ball too. He's averaging 13 points and 7 rebounds a game. He can knock it down from 3.
Right.
All right. Yeah, he's not burning it up from 3, but he can knock it down from 3. So that's a tough matchup, I think, for the New York Knicks when you take a look at Alexander Walker and Josh Hart starting, because of the size of Kemba at 6 foot. Both of those guys are 6'5". And of course, you got Evan Fournier, he's 6'7". RJ Barrett 6'7", Julius Randle 6'8". But at that guard spot, it's a tough go at it. You know what I mean? So
it's especially tough because they have youth on them too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nickeil is younger, and they're gonna have the energy, they're gonna have the rapid motions that make them hard to stay in front of, in tandem with the height difference. I think, I always want to lead with defensive emphasis, but I think those key players, those key offensive weapons that they have, we're going to need to really, really concentrate. We're going to need to really concentrate and stay focused and be on the same page out there. I want a vocal, communicative dynamic on the court out there today. And if we can stay out of foul trouble and get that work done, then I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. And we're going to have to give Kemba Walker a little bit of help. If Alexander, he's not a post-up guy, but if he does post up Kemba Walker a little bit, we need to send a double team, get it out of his hands, but then we got to be ready to scramble on the defensive side of the ball to make sure they don't get a swing, and then an open 3. You know what I mean? That's going to be the one area where we may have to double consistently or do something to get the ball out of either Walker's hands or Josh Hart. Either one of those guys. Look, they're going to run some screen and rolls and try to find the best matchup against Kemba. We got to be ready to defend that. Okay, and help Kemba, because these guys have such a size difference on Kemba Walker. Speaking of Kemba Walker, ladies and gentlemen, he is the Thrive Fantasy player to watch for tonight. All right. Thrive Fantasy has the over-under on Kemba Walker at 16.5 points tonight. Savvy. Does Kemba Walker get 16.5 points tonight?
I think so.
Does he go over that?
I think so.
You think he goes over?
I'm betting over. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to have probably 18 points at least. I think he'll find his space. I think he'll be able to hit some shots for us. And the only thing that's going to hold him back is how many minutes he plays. If he winds up being too much of a defensive liability and cannot compensate for it with early buckets, I think he's not going to play as many minutes as we might need him at certain points in the game in order for him to get more than 18 points. But if he comes out and he gets hot immediately, I see him easily going over 16.5 points. I think he's going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 points, maybe hit 20. You feel me? Okay. But I feel like a night like this, a matchup like this, is a good opportunity for him to be able to find his space and hit some buckets for us.
Yeah. Okay. Kemba Walker's averaging 13.8 points per game on the season, 3.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists. He's shooting 41.6% from the field and 40.8% from the free throw from the 3-point line, and he's shooting 81.8% from the free throw line. I don't know. What say you, chat? There's a poll in the chat right now. 55% so far says that Kemba Walker will go over 16.5 points. 45% says under, about 60 votes. Let's see if we can get some more votes in there. I want to know what you guys think. All right, that's the Thrive Fantasy player to watch, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to thrivefantasy.com or just click the link in the description of this video and use the code NBK. And you'll get a 100% match of your first deposit up to $100, ladies and gentlemen. All right, thrivefantasy.com. And the thrivefantasy.com matchup of the night, RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram. I know the lineup looks like it's going to be Julius Randle and Brandon Ingram, but I'm going with RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram as my matchup for the night because RJ Barrett has been playing good basketball for the New York Knicks. I know he's had 13 turnovers in the last 2 games. I get it. But I still think he's been playing good basketball. Let's hope that he bounces back. He had 18 points versus Minnesota. Didn't play extremely well. Let's see if he can bounce back. Is this the RJ? The last 5 games, he's given us 24.8 points per game, 6.6 rebounds per game, 3.2 assists per game. He's shooting 47.9% from the field. He's shooting 44.8% from 3 and 70.4% from the free throw line. Is this the RJ that we can depend on from now and on? Because Brandon Ingram, he's been doing this for a while. So while this is RJ Barrett in the last 5 games, what you see from Brandon Ingram, while I have his stats from the last 5 games, this is what he averages on the season. Brandon Ingram, 23.2 points per game in the last 5 games, 5.6 rebounds per game, 6.6 assists per game, shooting 45.1% from the field. He's shooting 43.5% from the 3-point line and 85.7% from the free throw line, ladies and gentlemen. This guy can play basketball. He's a tough cover for anyone. So I'm not expecting RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram to just straight up match up throughout the entire night. There's going to be switches off onto Brandon Ingram. Julius Randle is going to play him a lot. RJ Barrett's going to play him a lot. But I'm looking at these 2 guys to see what they do tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, Julius Randle, he's playing against his old team. He might have a big night tonight. We'll see. But it's not like the Pelicans traded Julius Randle. He opted to leave through free agency, but he knew Zion Williamson was there. It wasn't going to work. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
they drafted his replacement. So maybe there is some venom in the water. Not that he hates the guys, but, every player has that. Anyway, that's the Thrive Fantasy matchup of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Should be a fun one. Should be a real fun one. Savvy, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
I remember when Brandon Ingram was a Laker, and he would have stretches where he was burning up hot and dropping buckets, and then he'd kind of struggle for a little bit there, be a little bit less of himself. And I feel like that crux moment, that moment where he turned it all around, is where RJ is nearing himself at this stage in his development right now. He's right on the cusp. He might be just ahead of that fulcrum or after it, right? And I think what we're going to see tonight is going to show us a lot, because not only has RJ been developing and progressing offensively, but he's always been a solid to good defender. And when we do these switches and he winds up on Ingram, it's going to be very interesting to watch. I'm expecting a good turnaround game for Barrett. I'm expecting a lot less turnovers. I'm expecting a good scoring night. And shout out to Ingram. I'm glad he's healthy and I'm glad he's balling. But tonight we're gonna need to keep him to a below average performance.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot easier said than done, no doubt about it. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks take on the New Orleans Pelicans tonight at 7:30 p.m. at Madison Square Garden. This is a big game for the Knicks. Would you say this is a must-win, Savvy?
Yes, absolutely must win, especially after the way that we've lost these last two games. We need to turn this thing around, and we need to build some momentum going into this stretch of games that we have coming up. We need to get our mojo back. We need to close out games with confidence and certainty. We need to protect the ball and have faith and not be so tentative so as to give away what our next maneuver is. And also we need to trust each other and come out with this win, and then have that certainty going forward. I think it's a must-win game, and I think there's quite a few of those coming up for us. This is at Madison Square Garden. We gave up a heartbreaker last time. We need to give the people a redemption game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Game Day pregame show. The Game Day pregame show, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check out thegameday.com. I just forgot everything I was supposed to say. Ain't that funny? Anyway, ladies and
Sam, I want to
gentlemen,
say one thing.
this is the Game Day pregame show. I want to say something, Savvy. This is the Game Day pregame show. Make sure you go to thegameday.com, where you can get all of your updated sports content and betting odds from across different platforms, Caesars, DraftKings, all of that. All of that, ladies and gentlemen. Go to thegameday.com. The link is in the description of this video. Savvy, what's your prediction for the night? And then you can go ahead and get into what you was going to say.
My score prediction tonight?
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to say 110-105. Either way. I don't think it's going to be more than a 5-point game. I think we'll get 110 to their 105. I think it's going to be a good scoring game for both teams. It's going to be a lot of it's going to be a show for sure. I'm looking forward to a fun game to watch, and possibly a tad bit of cardiac Knicks. But the thing I was going to say is, if we just keep Mitch in the game, and not getting in foul trouble or fouling out or anything like that, I think we'll be just fine. I think we will be just fine. 110, 105, Knicks up. Let's get it.
Okay. Hey, I'm going with the New York Knicks tonight. I think I'm going with the New York Knicks tonight. The Pelicans, they're not the same defensive team that the Minnesota Timberwolves are. They're not the same offensive team that, well, I guess they play okay offensively, but they're not a strong team at all. I'm giving the Knicks, I'm going to go 111 to 106 New York Knicks tonight. I think we get this win, and I actually think we're going to beat the Clippers in the following game. You know what I mean? So those are my predictions for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Please leave your comments. Leave your comments below. I want to know what you're thinking about this game tonight. I'm looking in the chat. We got 100 votes for Kemba Walker to go over or under 16.5 points. 55% say over. 45% say under. I'm going to end the poll right there because we're getting ready to get on up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking in it right now. I see IQJ says 103-96 Knicks. Tay 234 says 120 to 97 Knicks. So he's predicting a blowout for the New York Knicks. All right. David L says it's going to be 8 points or less. The game spread. I don't know. We will see, man. I think the Knicks are going to get this win tonight. They need to. They have to, ladies and gentlemen. I'm up out of here, folks.
120 to 97.
120 to 97. Hey, that'd be beautiful. We need that.
That'd be beautiful. I would love it.
We coming to the post-game show. Everyone's going to be feeling good with that one. Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody. But ladies and gentlemen, I am up out of here. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Ring that notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I go live, drop a video, or post in my community section, ladies and gentlemen. The New York Knicks take on the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. I'll be on the post-game show tonight at about 10:15. So make sure you check me out there. And thank you for joining me. Be peaceful. Spread love as usual. And you know what? Let's cue the intro, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.